Hi, and welcome to Ward 13. I just made it, didn't I, Mike? Mike Martineau is here today.
Yes, you did.
And hopefully we're going to get a call from Professor Gabriel Goodliff from the University of Mexico so he can vent on the Bernie Sanders and the New Hampshire primary. But, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great.
And how's your hot new romance going?
Got sidetracked, but
Oh, what happened?
so we were supposed to go on our first date on Sunday, and she texted me on Saturday. She said she couldn't make it because she got injured and the meds she got put on prevents her from driving.
Oh, wow. I've never let that stop me. Like today.
Or so
They're going to put me on something new, so I don't know if we're going to make it in time next week.
Yeah, so we're rescheduling for this Sunday. So
Has the wedding happened yet? You know, your father is
No.
remarrying,
nope.
and she's going to be your date.
Yes.
Have you figured, did you ask her about what we were talking about? We don't have to tell anybody else about it. Is she a Nirvana fan?
I did not.
Her name is Nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is an unusual name for a New Hampshire girl. If you were out in San Francisco, hell, nobody'd think, they have names like when Norm, the psychic, was out in California, they had names like Buttercup and stuff like that, But Nirvana is a strange name in New Hampshire. But she is from the seacoast, isn't she?
Yep. She lives in Rochester.
Things are very different out there, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. They're more liberal out there. Would you say that?
I haven't been out there too much, mainly for sports events.
Oh, you've been to Durham, haven't you?
I've been to Durham a couple times with Central, and then always making that long trip out to Rochester to play Spalding when it kind of extra. Then
Did you guys play Portsmouth?
that was after I left Central.
Yeah, because I never remember anybody playing anybody
Or
outside the immediate area. Maybe you'd play. I don't even remember playing Concord or Nashua or anything.
yeah,
But I'm an old man, one of those okay boomers,
yeah.
So, yeah. How did you meet this gal?
In a Facebook singles group.
Ooh. Have you been a frequent visitor to the Facebook singles group? Is it just one, or are there other groups?
I'm probably a part of 10 or 15.
Oh, so you're part of the cisgendered male, right? According to Matt Connerton.
Yes.
Even though he had to explain to us what that was.
Yeah.
I still can't explain it.
I don't remember what he said about it, so.
I can't remember what the words mean. SCIS. Reminds me of the word sissy, but, macho guys like us, you know. Hey, have you had any more conflicts with Eric Gagnon?
Not really.
Ever since, what happened to your other girlfriend? Girl who was a friend.
Debbie, we are still friends to this day, and we are co-workers, so it makes it awkward, but
Yeah.
we get through it. And actually, because Nirvana canceled on me on Saturday, I had already bought the tickets for the show we were going to go to, the Piano Man at the Palace.
Right.
So, and I didn't want the ticket to waste, and I couldn't get a refund, so
Oh, you're taking Debbie.
I did take.
Oh, you already went to see the show.
Yeah.
Tell the audience what the Piano Man's about, who it's about.
Basically, so it's basically a doing piano.
Oh, let's have the camera on Mike.
It's basically
There we go.
It's basically an upscale version of a doing piano show. Basically, it's a 2-act show, and they have a band in the back.
It's not Billy Joel, is it? It's
or so they do some Billy Joel, they do some Stevie Wonder, they do some Elton John.
Elton John, yeah.
Barry Manilow, Freddie Mercury. So
He played the piano?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury did play the piano. And so basically, and then they have dancers to accompany the music, and Paul Collier said this on the morning show Monday or Tuesday when he called in because he saw it Friday night. I saw it Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
What did Paul have to say?
He liked it, but he thought the dancers were useless because basically they were playing songs from the 80s, and the dancers were dressed in costumes from like the 50s.
Why were they dressed in costumes from the 50s?
That's the director's choice, not. But I have no idea.
What, they have Ray Charles songs?
No.
He's the only person I can think of, Piano Man from the 50s. I just remember from the 60s.
No. So they were performing songs from the 80s, but the costumes the dancers were wearing were from the 50s.
So there was nobody but those people. Billy Joel, Elton John, Freddie Mercury for some reason, I guess because, the movie Queen was a big hit. Was it called Queen, the movie?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see. Not being a Queen fan, but I hear it's
I'd say
great.
they...
And Stevie Wonder. Yeah.
Barry Manilow, too, and then they covered a couple other songs here and there.
What songs of Barry Manilow did they play?
I can't honestly remember, to be honest.
Copacabana? At the Copacabana.
That was probably one of them.
One of my exes used to love Barry Manilow, but then that's when she was a slip of a girl, that's how old, Barry Manilow goes back to the 70s. And she would never admit it. And then for a gift I bought, years later, we were just friends then, I bought her a Barry Manilow retrospective and sent it to her. And she finally came out of the closet, as a Barry Manilow fan. And now, he's not as taboo. Because, some people go out of style, Like, if you were around, the Bee Gees and their disco became highly disreputable. And that album from Saturday Night Live sold like 20 million copies. And it was a joke until John Travolta became a movie star again with the Tarantino movie. Brendan, what's that Tarantino movie called? The one after his second movie. It was Reservoir Dog. The one with Pulp Fiction. Have you ever seen Pulp Fiction?
I have not.
So he became a big star again, and then suddenly all the stuff that was hilarious, disco, and Saturday Night Fever, and the Bee Gees of that era, which were, considered shameful and a real joke. Oh, my God. Then, they lose their... What would you call the word when something's like really dorky or stupid or ridiculous? Dorky, stupid, and ridiculous? Hey, have you ever seen the Bee Gees in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band?
I have not.
It's got to be one of the worst movies ever made. I saw it when I was in high school, or I'd just gotten out of high school. And I took my first girlfriend, Little Debbie, to... see it down in the Bedford Mall when they had the two cinemas there. It was awful. I'm still, after 40 some odd years, still, can't get that. You can't get that 2 hours back,
Sometimes when you go watch a movie and you think it's awful, you're never going to get that time back.
And what was it? Was first when the Bee Gees hit in the 60s, 70s, it was Robin Gibb who sang, he was the lead singer. Then when they went to disco, I think it was Morris is the one who died, which we call Maurice in America. He was married to Lulu, a famous pop singer briefly from the 60s from London. So it was Barry, man. It must have been Barry Gibb, right? Yeah. He said when they released this movie that the Beatles had made Sgt. Pepper's and everybody was going to forget about Sgt. Pepper's and the Beatles after this movie. Well, they forgot about the Bee Gees after that movie.
Yeah.
But they don't have any Bee Gees coming up to... You do know who the Bee Gees are, right?
Because of Saturday Night Fever.
That's all?
Or...
You never heard their song like Massachusetts? That's Robin Gibb with the quavering falsetto.
No.
Now, that would be a good song for you to sing at the farm has karaoke.
Yeah, karaoke
I am going back to
every Thursday and Friday night. And then... So we got that, and then I've been working at the arena a lot. So we've had some great events go through there recently, with Disney on Ice, which is a yearly thing. And then we had
What new characters do they have on ice this time?
not really any new ones, or for you they would be new, but it's
Anything after Beauty and the Beast.
okay. So they
'Cause
had
I saw that with my nieces, and then now they're 40 years old.
yeah. So they did have the Toy Story characters there.
Really?
Yeah, Yeah, they did a dance number. They had the Frozen people there. They had Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and
Frozen's really because then it's like your nieces have kids. So Frozen, I know about, but that's it.
yeah.
Because you have to buy gifts for the little ones. You can't go wrong with Frozen, right?
Yeah, and then we had Bull Riding the next weekend.
Who? What?
Bull riding. The professional bull riders were there.
You forgot to tell me. You know I like bull riding.
Yeah, so
That's a good thing to take a woman to, a woman friend. They love bull riding. They do. Didn't you ever notice women like horses? And this next step up is bull riding. You take a woman to a real rodeo, and oh my God, there's no stronger aphrodisiac than a bull that weighs like 3 or 4 tons, that's bigger than 2 Buick SUVs, stomping the living stuffing out of, some stalwart cowboy that it's just bucked off its back.
Yeah, then we had.
You remember that? You should have taken one of your girls to it.
I was walking it, so.
Oh, you could have got us all in free, huh? Did you have to shovel any of the?
No.
They have special people that do that?
Yes. They brought in 750 tons of dirt for that.
Geez, if this was Matt Connaughton's show, I would have said the F word. No, because you had mentioned it, but then I didn't see it.
Yeah, and then this past weekend we had Jeff Dunham. That was Friday night.
Is that the guy who's a filthy comedian?
Or ventriloquist.
Oh, he's a dirty ventriloquist?
Not really dirty, but sometimes he can go down that route. And then we had
Charles Bukowski, who you should read, great American writer, wrote a story about a guy who was an obscene comedian in Las Vegas who blew bubbles, obscene soap bubbles. I'd read it on the show, but I'd probably get suspended again.
Yeah, and then Saturday night we had Korn and Breaking Benjamin.
Breaking what?
So Breaking Benjamin's a pop band, and then Korn's like a heavy metal band.
Korn with a K.
Korn.
Oh, okay.
And then,
I've heard of them.
And then we got Kiss coming in this weekend. So.
Oh, Matt must be in hog heaven.
Or he said he had prior commitment, so he
didn't get a ticket.
He's probably not. We'll talk about that on Matt's show today. Matt Connaughton Unleashed on 95.3 WMNH 4 to 6.
95.3.
Yep.
Between
4 and 6 p.m.
Eastern time.
Yep.
Remember, Matt's got fans all over the globe.
Yep.
Now, I want to go back to the bull riding. What was the name of the bulls? What was the big stud bull? Because there's always the star of any rodeo is the bull.
I can't remember any.
You're not into bulls? You're not into cows and stuff?
Or I'm into about. Basically, it was a.
Didn't you think it was exciting?
Yeah. It's a great event that Lena should have every year now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was the first time they've ever been in
in Manchester.
Yeah, because that is the top tier tour in the U.S. So.
Oh yeah, they always go down to New York.
Yeah.
It's always at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I think maybe because the changing demographics, because Latinos like to go to the rodeo, but that's California,
Yeah.
They used to have the one in Salinas, because I lived in Monterey 3 times in my life, when I was in the Army, when I got out of the Army, and then I lived in Carmel, which is Monterey, next to it. But there was always the Salinas Rodeo. Did you see anybody get stomped?
Or I saw highlights of it afterward.
Oh, you were out. You weren't inside the arena.
Or I was inside. I was on the concourse working and.
That sucks, man. You didn't get to see your bulls.
Or I tried to peek in when I could, and basically whenever I went in, it was commercial break. I'm like, really? Yeah, basically because they were.
Well, there's time. You got to set it all up.
Yes.
You got the guy gets on the bull. It only is 8. You get 8 seconds.
Yeah.
You got to make it 8 seconds, and most of them don't do it.
No.
Yeah, Yes, there's a great movie by the great director Sam Peckinpah with Steve McQueen plays a rodeo rider, and his brother, who is who played his brother? His brother Curly was played by the guy that was Walking Tall. Did you ever see the original Walking Tall?
No.
Joe Don Baker. What's it? That Mystery Theater 3000. It used to be on TV, and they'd watch bad movies and. They'd be like aliens watching it. What was that called? Mystery Theater 3000?
Well, I'm only 25, so.
Oh, but I thought that, all this stuff stays on forever,
Not usually unless it.
They always make fun of Joe Don Baker. I think he's dead now. Brendan's not helping out here with bad movies. I was just about to type in Brendan's name. I think it's Mystery Theater. Well, Mystery Science Theater. They always would make fun of Joe Don Baker because he made some god-awful movies. Why he left the Walking Tall franchise, God only knows. To go on to such even more horrible movies. But he plays Steve McQueen's brother. At the time, Steve McQueen was like one of the biggest stars in the world. But
because of Bullet.
He was but that was 68. This is like 72, and he'd taken a couple of years off. So he was a washed-up guy trying to make it back. And his brother says, I'm working on my first $1 million, and you're only working on 8 seconds, which is true. But if you ever get to see it, it's called Junior Bonner. It's one of a minor classic by Sam Peckinpah, who's famous for making very bloody and violent movies like The Wild Bunch. But this was a smaller movie. And Steve McQueen was great in it. But... It was when I was out in California that I first saw Rodeo, and then and then you notice that some women like it too. That bull comes out snorting and stomping and twisting. You didn't get to see even one ride?
Well, I got to see a couple, but it's like trying to be especially with that. It's like a basketball game because it was
fast, yeah.
No. It was a steady class. It's not like a concert when main event comes out and you go to see. Basically, It's like because there's something always going on, so people kept coming out. It was a great crowd for both shows, and we got Kiss coming in this weekend.
A Kiss can't beat the bull riding, man.
Or Kiss has
producing bull, but
the Kiss has sold like 6,000 tickets for that arena. So
really,
yeah, bull riding was like 55 and 4,000 because they had 2 shows.
So Kiss is not selling out, huh?
And the concert on Saturday night is the first stop on leg 5 of their farewell tour.
Which farewell tour is this? Number 3 or number 4?
Or this is their like final farewell, but this tour has like 8.
Ooh, it's the Veterans Hospital. Hello? I Kiss came from the Veterans Hospital.
Yeah.
This time slot doesn't work very well for me. It's just we'll have to edit this part out. Oh, Jesus, more appointments. Okay. Geez, I have to go tomorrow and Friday, Such is life as a disabled veteran. Have you been seeing any presidential candidates around? We don't see any up at the VA because veterans don't exist in this campaign.
Not really, but I know I'll be working on primary day for the city, so...
What are you doing primary day for the city? Are you going to be shoveling a bowl?
No, I'll be a deputy registrar in Ward 7.
How did you get to be deputy registrar? Did you your silver tongue when you're singing karaoke
No.
at the farm? Just,
No.
Win you this position?
No. Because this will be the third election I've worked. Basically, there was an ad out on Facebook on.
Ooh, they won't let me do jobs like that. I wonder why.
Yeah, but
I'm as gentle as a kitchen.
Yeah, so I worked the municipal primary and the municipal general election in Ward 5.
Ward 5?
Yeah.
That ward ought to be abolished, don't you think? Hardly anybody ever turns out to vote. They ought to get rid of Ward 5 and Ward 4, and we ought to just have 10 wards. What do you think about that? Then I would become Ward 11, my show. There's too many wards.
I'm in Ward 1 right now, so.
And then we should have 4 aldermen at large, except they all come from the west side, city center, north end, and the south end. See, I wanted to get a conversation started. That's why I ran for alderman at large. Of course, in this city, rape, this, that, fraud, the other thing. Nobody gives a damn, so, what the hell? Hey, how much do you get paid? $175?
It's 180 for the day.
Jeez, and a lunch?
100. I have to pay for my own lunch.
Wow, I'm sorry, Brandon. I hit the table.
Or some wards do it differently. Like they have a
Ward 10. They have a real spread.
Yeah. I know that for a fact. The Honorable Heidi Hamer.
And our alderman Bill Berry. He drops some goodies off.
Yeah, but first 2 elections I had to go buy my own lunch and whatnot.
We moved down here.
And then I don't know what I'll expect out of Ward 7.
You're in Ward 7? I thought you were in Ward 5.
No, I was in Ward 5 for the first 2, but when I went for training this past Saturday,
you better watch out for Ward 7. Ross Theriot. He might, you never. He's highly unpredictable. Whenever I have him on my show, he's not the alderman.
Yeah.
Oh man, he just tries to kidnap my show.
Ross is a good guy. I've had.
He was a good guy, but he hasn't been on my show in a while. So now he is on the bull list. I'm going to say bad things about him, but after the primary. This is it's called the Rich Gerard. No, Rich Gerard used to say, one of the aldermen says, Gerard would say bad things about you. Then you get a letter to buy advertising on his old station. So that the bad things would go away. But of course, this guy just crumpled the letter up. He actually gave it to me, the letter. But then Gerard went back to saying bad things about him. That twerp. But, so you haven't seen, this is what, I left New Hampshire for a long time. And then you come back and you realize Iowa is really the first primary.
Even we call it a caucus.
Iowa caucus is to the, if the New Hampshire primary is the Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, which are utterly corrupt folks, they got banned for 10 years from national, public. They couldn't be on network TV. Then Ronald Reagan, everything goes, and they come back. I mean, you can buy one of those. It's only voted on by 60 people that nobody even knows if they're journalists. But it's what you call making a horse out of horse manure, and that's what the Iowa caucus is. I mean, sometimes the Alaska caucuses are before the Iowa caucuses, but they just came up with this bull in 1980 when Kennedy and Jimmy Carter in the East, everybody thought, it's going to be the president in November, after the election. Who's going to put their hand up in January 20th, 1981? It's either going to be Jimmy Carter or Teddy Kennedy. Nobody thought Reagan would could win, just like nobody thought that Trump could win. So because Teddy Kennedy was considered the favorite son in New Hampshire, they just started making the Iowa caucus into something. Nobody won the 1976 Iowa caucuses. Nobody cared about it. Nobody wrote about it. It was in the Alaska caucus is actually the first caucus. I don't know if it's this year, but it has been in the past. But nobody gives a damn about them. Who wants to go up to Alaska, Iowa's hard enough to go to that, hayseed place. It's colder than hell. So they create this in 1980, not knowing that Jimmy Carter is going to throw all this money into New Hampshire, including a train that goes down to Boston, and that Ted Kennedy, as revealed by his diaries, wasn't really going to try to win the presidency because he thought if he became president, he'd get shot, just like his two brothers. So, and there was an interview with Roger Mudd of CBS, who was slated to take over from Walter Cronkite, but Dan Rather did. But he was like the number 2 interviewer at CBS. And he asked Ted Kennedy, why do you want to be president? And he says, I don't know. So suddenly everything's changing. Suddenly Ted's no longer a favorite son in New Hampshire, and you don't think it would be like no contest. And Carter, wins New Hampshire. Reagan becomes president. But Iowa's made out of, horse manure. A horse made out of horse manure. People go through Iowa. They don't even go on to win, But you people in New Hampshire, Iowa is the first one. That gets more attention than New Hampshire. And they just they battle that this is going to be the first primary. Because it's like when was the first primary in New Hampshire? It was also the first primary in the United States. Do you know what year it was? What was the first New Hampshire primary?
Probably 1900?
No, Bill Gardner saying this is the 100th anniversary of the New Hampshire primary.
1920.
But the first New Hampshire primary was the Democrats in 1916. So now they're pretending, and John Clayton too, that this is the first, this is the 100th anniversary. It might be of both parties, but the first primary is 1916. And actually, when you look at the absentee ballot for the Republicans, it says 100th anniversary of the Republican primary, because they didn't do it till 1920. But the thing is, that's the New Hampshire primary, another horse made out of horse manure. But at least this is a democratic thing where people vote. In caucuses, it's just people that are active. It's people that can go there. They don't have accommodations for people with disabilities. And this is amongst, the Democrats, too, who are supposedly liberal and all that. Because it's just a farce. But you're always jockeying. Bill Gardner did do a great job to keep the first primary. But it's not the first primary. When I was a kid, this was the only game in town. Now, Iowa, what crap. And I just read a article in a good, media source. Oh, Iowa. Like it's actually meaningful or something. Where it's just a bunch of horse manure. So you're not seeing any presidential candidates. Even the guy with the boot on his head. He's become an arrogant so-and-so.
Or I did see Vermin Supreme and Andrew Yang in the same night.
Where did you see those two characters?
Electric Avenue, couple months back.
That might be our call. Do I just hit the button? Is that you, Gabriel?
Give me a minute, please.
Oh, who is this? Oh, it must be Gabriel's secretary. Yeah, we were... Hello?
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm calling from Mexico City. Hold on, please.
Okay. Hey, can you put Gabriel's picture up? There he is. Isn't he a handsome son of a gun? We need a...
Hey, John, how are you? Nice to hear you.
Fine. We need a Romanian immigrant to come and molest you. I was thinking about... You were posting about Me Too. Remember...
Yeah, but those were the days when I was slim and attractive. Now, the years have caught up with me, Hopwood.
How old... I have a picture of you in a gray suit. That looks... have you got fat?
A gray suit, that tells you everything, doesn't it? A gray suit will tend to slim you down.
Well, oh my God, you're going to be 50 years old, aren't you?
It's kind of hard to admit, but yeah, I'm getting there. I'm going to be, let's see, I'll be 50 in 2021, so yeah, next year.
Oh, I turned 60. I used to call you the kid, remember? The kid.
Le kid.
Hey, speaking...
Yeah, I mean, what would you have done without me, Hopwood? No French bashing network. No,
Well, you're now talking Manchester, New Hampshire. I'm from the West Side. Mike Martineau's my guest. He's part French Canadian, or probably all French Canadian.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
there's
hi,
a lot
how are you?
Doing
lot of French-speaking folks here, but we're not going to speak French. You should.
All right.
Oh, you should call.
I'll try and
Glenn's show.
contain my enthusiasms.
Now, Mike, it's true. This studio, this is community television. We have a lot of French-speaking shows, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We have Glenn, and we got a lot of frogs here. But moving on, and plus, because of the French-speaking community, Francophone community, we have immigrants from Francophone Africa, too. So.
But people actually speak French?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They speak it right.
Not just the old generation. It's being passed down. That's great to hear.
Well, we do have this is an immigrant-friendly city. That's officially a refugee city.
I know, but do any of the Quebecers speak French still?
No. The kids, my generation who were taught French, did not teach their kids French.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, that's a shame.
Can you speak
But,
any French, Michael? No.
Nah.
No, I can't even read French. I watch French movies. I watch Belmondo movies because.
I know. I remember. You love French cinema, the New Wave, and all that.
Yeah, but I'm.
Godard and Belmondo. Those were your references, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but Belmondo. I was just talking to my friend who's Russian, and she's only 39 years old. Belmondo was a huge star in.
I know. Listen, my girlfriend's mom, she loves Jean-Paul Belmondo.
Yeah.
He's a global French icon.
But I watch because I can't really understand. Like, if I could understand 25% of a French movie, and relying on subtitles, it's probably 5% now. So I just watch his action. I watch his action movies,
Yeah, but those are pretty campy.
Yeah, but they're fun, and he's a great actor. But, he's a cop or he's a soldier of fortune.
Uh-huh.
And then there are the
Yeah. Well, what about Alain Delon?
Yeah, but he's not. He's not Belmondo. Belmondo was like a Bogart.
Yeah, but Delon made some amazing films too, man.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Like he made The Leopard. He made, he's in some major movies.
You're right, and you can call in, and we'll have Victoria call in, and she's a big Belmondo.
We can discuss who's better, Belmondo or Delon. We'll ask the women which one was more attractive.
Well, Vika would say Belmondo. She says.
Yeah, I know. He had a kind of animal-esque sexuality, didn't he?
Well, I don't.
But Delon is seen, is widely regarded as one of the better-looking French actors.
Well, she thinks he's a feat. Looking.
No, he looks. Yeah, I see what you're doing there, Hopwood.
It's not my thing. But when you watch Belmondo movies, he made all those two-fisted, brainless movies that they showed everywhere.
Yeah, but so did Delon.
Yeah, but he was.
Delon tried his hand at Hollywood. I don't think either of them actually made it really in Hollywood.
Well, Delon did come to Hollywood and made films. Belmondo came to Hollywood, but he turned it down because he wasn't. He didn't. Delon could speak English, and pretty well too, and that helped. And Belmondo couldn't. He didn't want to do it, and.
Cool.
He enjoyed France. And who won it, right? Have you been to France?
I have not.
Yeah. But we're talking about you're done. Gabriel, why don't you introduce yourself? And we've only got like 20 minutes so you can talk about Bernie Sanders, whatever you want. Tell the audience who you are. Well, you called in.
I love the rousing intro there, Hop. What do you want me to say about myself?
Well, you're a professor of and where?
I'm an assistant professor at the Autonomous Technological Institute of Mexico in Mexico City. I've been here since 2009, and I'm able to observe how we've been on the receiving end of Trump's particular brand of diplomacy.
Well, I'm older than you, and I remember the pre-Harvard boys. The old when the PRI really was still upheld the revolutionary mantle and was quite anti-American, like in the '60s and '70s.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Before
And
Salinas,
although by then it was pretty much institutionalized, and a pretty corrupt party at that. But it did enjoy a lot more legitimacy. The PRI is dead now, man.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Basically dead.
That's amazing.
Well, there's only so much corruption that can be accepted under a democracy.
Well, I don't know. Here in Manchester, we're doing well. Of course, we have two parties to pick between, Who do you want your corruption from? Which brings us to the New Hampshire primary, which we were just discussing. If you had a vote in the New Hampshire primary, who would Gabriel Goodliff, Ph.D., Gabriel went to Yale for his undergrad. I met him when he was at Stanford getting his master's degree. And then he got a PhD at Johns Hopkins. So, and if you were an expert in any other subject rather than the political economy of France, you'd be a professor here in the United States. You are, I always called you
Well, thank you.
I always called you lazy because I always urged you to write articles, but...
Well, I'm trying. I'm writing. I'm in the process of amending one right now.
I don't mean the peer-reviewed journals that nobody can read. I mean real pot-boiling stuff, that we can make a bestseller.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, where am I going to get published? In The Nation, if I'm lucky?
Oh, Jesus, you'd be in hog heaven, huh? You always, Barbara Tuchman wasn't a real historian. Yeah, but she won 2 Pulitzer Prizes.
So who would I vote for? You know who I would vote for. You want it to come out of my mouth?
Tulsi Gabbard, right?
No.
Vermin Supreme, the guy with the boot in his head, but he already won the Libertarian primary. So let's think.
No, I would vote for Sanders, hand down. Like the plurality of your fellow constituents, Hop, in your state.
I would say
I just read this morning that Sanders has been leading the polls in New Hampshire for 6 weeks.
But what poll?
So I don't know what that says about New Hampshire, and he trounced Clinton last time around, if I remember correctly. Won by 20 points.
They say...
And, it looks like he might win. In fact, I was reading today, or yesterday, he's actually better odds on now to win the Democratic nomination than Joe Biden.
That's not what I'm hearing, but 538 in them.
Well, what are you hearing, and who are you hearing it from? I'd like to know.
Well, Joe will probably win the Iowa. Bernie will win here. But
you think you think Biden's going to win in Iowa? That's not what I'm seeing in the polling.
Well, that's Nate Silver, but things are changing. Like you're saying, he's coming up in Texas and so. See, everything's so volatile right now. You've got
and he's leading in California. The thing is, if he wins in Iowa, which is I don't know, the polling I've seen shows that he's leading in Iowa, and then he wins New Hampshire, and he's leading in Nevada. He wins those 3 states. I think that's if he's able to sweep 3 states in a row, sorry, but that's going to change the Democratic dynamic.
Yeah, but
you can see the Democratic establishment is starting to worry about it.
Oh yeah, they already are stacking the DNC again with Clinton people.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a terrible mistake, man. If they do that in that way, and it comes down to, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I don't know. What are you thinking, Hop? You're the apparatchik. How are you seeing this?
Okay. I don't know. I follow the best prognosticator is Nate Silver because he used to handicap sports and still does. But
yeah, I don't know, man. Nate, I think you're right. I think Silver is very good, but he sort of dropped the ball. 538 certainly dropped the ball last time around.
No, he did. But remember, everybody did because nobody.
Yeah, well, some people did not. A couple polls did not actually.
But he got it right.
But you're right. And
he got it right on the final.
It's weird that the polling in America doesn't match the Electoral College reality.
Well,
there's only so much you can glean from national level polls like 538.
Yeah, the Electoral Colleges are, it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but then you should. I guess you should start polling in consequence. Giving more value to polls in battleground states than say in California.
Well, I think this is the last New Hampshire primary. I don't see how California and the big states can allow this New Hampshire and Iowa to go on when all the candidates of color just knocked right out. I mean...
Well, who makes that decision? That would be a decision at the level of what, the DNC?
It's complicated because the DNC is a private entity, and you're talking about property, and you're talking about the media. We were talking before about how Iowa is a horse made out of horse manure that was created by the media in 1980 on a virtually
Yeah,
whole cloth.
You're absolutely right. And no offense to New Hampshire, New Hampshireans, or I don't know what to say.
Granite Staters, Granite Staters.
But, it's not exactly the most representative state in the Union, particularly for the Democratic Party.
Well, we're 90% white.
Yeah, exactly. And so is Iowa, right?
And that's the big, that's big because 10 years ago we were 94% white or 96% white. But the fact is that somebody like Pete... how do you pronounce his name? Because I use an obscenity for him.
Buttigieg?
Right,
Yep.
you know me, never grew up. And I also have dyslexia, so I couldn't pronounce it anyways. Unless it's a good, hearty Anglo-Saxon name, like Goodliff. Or Hopwood,
Oh, Hopwood.
But the thing is...
Your wasp obsessions.
Hey, my world and welcome to it. Now, I'm 3/4 Celtic, but... without Iowa and without New Hampshire and, let's just say the lack of diversity, Mayor Pete would not be a major candidate right now. He just wouldn't have got the traction, If California, California
but you
moved
could
it
have
up.
said the same thing about Obama in 2008, right?
Yeah, but Obama was different. Number one,
No.
Obama was different. Number one, he campaigned in New Hampshire as the grandson of white grandparents, so he's very heavily onto his background as mixed race. That was a lot of ads about that.
But still, what
Oprah.
made him viable was winning Iowa.
He had Oprah.
No one thought that would happen. That really launched his candidacy.
Well, Iowa doesn't really launch anybody because people have won Iowa and just gone into the crapper. It does weed everybody out, and by the time of the New Hampshire primary, the governor of Maryland was already gone. This was the only one I ever saw. There was just 2 candidates left because the media just ignored him, O'Malley. But and the big story.
Okay, but Hopwood, sorry.
Oh, we're going back to 2008.
That was the fault also of the Democratic Party. They did everything in their power to prevent anything from mounting a challenge against Clinton.
Yeah, like
she was an entitled candidate, and the DNC fully reflected this and weighed the scales in such a manner that no one was able to, in their right mind, would have tried to run.
Well, and she had all the money sewed up and everything. So the point is, if we talk about 2008 and 2016, we're talking about what a friend of mine who knows Hillary and a lot of candidates said, the worst candidate ever, worst candidate in history. She lost to...
you don't need to be to know her to know this, right?
Right.
I was telling you this back in 2016 and getting, upbraided in the most violent of manners.
Well, we
from people who shall remain nameless.
We don't talk. We don't talk about private conversations here on Ward 13, unless they're about people we want to embarrass. Unless we want to embarrass people. I'd rather.
All right,
we got a lot of us got dragooned into that campaign, and I don't want to hear anything about Debbie Wasserman.
But can I ask you a question, or is this a private? Are you being dragooned at the moment as well by something?
No, not
by
at all.
Somebody?
I've considered voting for Bernie.
Well, you should. At least he's authentic. He tells the truth. Even you admit he tells the truth.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing that I was a big supporter of Elizabeth Warren until
You know who for me is a really interesting parallel and microcosm to Bernie Sanders, which is why I'm not nearly as bullish about him or as bearish about him as you are?
Who?
Is Paul Wellstone.
Well, yeah, but
Remember how Wellstone in 2003 in Minnesota, a state that's very much a battleground, a purple state,
yeah.
He had to come up and vote again in the wake of the Iraq War.
Right.
And of refusing the Iraq War, and he cast a vote against that war, which the media universally decried as a political suicide. And guess what? He won. And he won on the back not just of liberals, but also of conservative voters in Minnesota who were impressed by his authenticity. And I don't think this gets stressed enough. Authenticity is seen by, the elites and the media elite and the punditry and so forth as somehow equivalent to childish naivete. But actually, I think it carries a lot of weight with American voters.
I
think
agree.
this is something that Bernie really has that can help him, and it can also help him cross over and appeal to some Republicans.
Well,
Something that, and this is the big difference between him and Warren, in my view. Sadly, because I like Elizabeth Warren too. If Bernie doesn't win the nomination, I will fully, back her.
I can't
despite
support
all the, the growing competition between them.
I
But
can't
as you
support
pointed
her,
out,
though.
she seems a lot more political than him.
Well, let me just say something. I can't support her, though.
Yeah.
She was my candidate because this presidential conduct test has revealed her as a serial liar. And what that little staged event with CNN and her saying that against Bernie that he said a woman couldn't be elected.
Yeah, that
which
was terrible.
nobody
No, and that the
believes.
moderator.
Nobody.
I mean, how can that be? And then I don't know if you stuck around to listen to the commentary afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
It was
awful.
terrible.
It was all staged.
It was shocking how they staged it. I think you're right.
It's fake. It was staged. It's a classic. It was just shocking. And then the look on her face, like
Yeah,
the
but
look
did you
of a
see what happened?
psychopath.
Bernie surged after that.
Yeah, because he's
I'm
authentic.
coming around to the idea that the more he gets criticized, just like Donald Trump, by the way, in 2016,
Right.
the parallels are starting to be pretty strong. The more he's criticized, the more he gets attacked by Hillary. I mean, Hillary Clinton just lost her marbles the other day. I don't know what happened. And then, Obama, Clinton, Biden, the DNC, the more that they try and put their, try and warn against Bernie, I think first of all, the more it mobilizes his own people, but also, indirectly, it'll also improve his cross-party appeal.
Well,
or at least with independents. And I'm all for it. I hope they do it even more.
I see, if we were a mature country, we would talk, and some people do, political scientists would say, like, this is the 7th republic that we're in. You have 5 republics of France because of the constitutions, but I don't see, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how you measure a mature country. At least America, until now, hasn't had, military coups like the French have had.
Right, which brought the Gaul to power.
So, it's
But the point is, there's something. I see there's a big break here, big history. It's not going to be as dramatic as 58 in France, where, there is a coup and the General de Gaulle becomes president to save the republic. But this whole system is just...
Well, but you have to remember, it was a military coup, man.
I know it was a military coup over Algeria. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the backdrop of the Algerian War. It would have never happened without Algeria.
Yeah, but look at the stressors here in America. But that's something
look,
for
I
another
agree.
one.
I think we're entering into really, the big question is if Trump loses in 2020, will he give up power?
Of course
That's
he
a
will.
really interesting question.
Of course he will.
Particularly to someone like Sanders,
Well, see, the thing
Imagine.
The thing is about Sanders, but we only got like 3 more minutes. But, talking about the DNC, we have a person here who is a member of the DNC. She used to be head of the New Hampshire Democratic Party, came out and endorsed Elizabeth Warren. And it's unusual because this is a very, very much a Hillary-type person, if you know what I mean. And you're thinking, Elizabeth Warren's not the person you would naturally go to. It seems, to interpret it cynically, like a play by the faction of the Clinton people. If you can keep Elizabeth Warren alive to peel off support from Bernie. Because, everybody thought at one time, like back in October, when I was still bullish on her before she really started revealing herself as
Well, she's changing her persona, right? She's moving away from the left and presenting herself now as the unity candidate.
Yeah, but she was a person on the right.
I don't know. I mean, it seems to me like a lot of liberals have left her. She's like, what is she now? Yeah, but in the polling in New Hampshire, in the last poll I saw, she's down to like, Bernie is beating her by double digits, isn't he?
It depends on the poll you see, but I'm pretty alienated by what's going on. Which is, I think, a lot of Americans are alienated. See, I don't think that.
But so you see Bernie winning in New Hampshire?
Yeah, Bernie, I think, is going to win in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And he's starting to gain
you have
momentum
doubts in terms of Iowa.
Well, he'll probably come in a strong second. But Iowa's such a weird state, you know. It's
and the thing is, with his, with the caucus system and so forth,
Right.
and his motivated base, I could see him winning in Iowa.
And there's all
The last time, remember, he lost due to 3 coin tosses.
Right.
A 1 in 6 chance. I mean,
exactly.
it was nuts.
And as the day goes on, everybody starts shifting everything. But you got 1 more minute, and we'll give it to you to give a plug to vote for Bernie and contradict people like me that don't think he can go all the way.
Well, I think, John, as much as I respect your historical acumen, I think you're stuck in the Cold War, and I think
I am, yeah.
Times have changed.
Hey, if you
times have changed.
If you've got some
So
time,
anyway, vote for Bernie.
If you've got some time, Mike and I are going to go on to the radio show. Take the number down. You can call in there, like in a half hour or so.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Why don't I do that? I'll call you in half an hour.
Well, no,
What's the
it's a
number?
different phone number. 603
Yeah.
250
Yeah.
6007.
6007. All right.
Yeah.
I'll call you at 2:30 then, or 3.
Yeah, 4:30
3:30 my
is,
time. But I can only talk for like 20 minutes because I have class at 4.
Okay. I got to go now because I got to go I got to wrap the show up and I got to go move my car.
All right. Well, great talking to you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
Yeah, no, this is Mike. Matt is
Mike, sorry. Forgive me.
Okay,
me.
bye.
Sorry.
Bye, folks.